Right. My first YouTube ever. I was led here by Providence, actually. I was looking for a scene from Amelie, and found the Amélie Game. It's, I would say, a sheer coincidence that I happen to know the person that started this, and I think that's quite cool. So, but the internet's a small place, it's the small town where everybody's boyfriend or girlfriend came from these days. So I'm going to start with my dislikes, because presently there are more of them than likes. So here we go. First is autumn in Australia, which is where I live. It's very different to the autumn that I was previously accustomed to. Autumn's meant to be sort of pleasant and leaves fall from trees. It's a good time of year to get candies from strangers or apples with razor blades in them, but that's only if you're a child. Autumn here is cold and miserable without any rain or moisture. It's a bit Vancouverish, but without the green. Yeah. Anyway, so that's number one. Number two is my former employer. They're a bunch of rat bastards and they can go to hell. And we'll leave it pretty much at that. But I'm not impressed with them or the fat mole that they brought in to try and manage me. Maybe that's why it didn't work out. Anyway, considering setting fire to her car, not really, but almost certainly nailing a blackbird's wing to her door. I think that would be most effective in expressing my dissatisfaction. I've also been using Oprah's secret to try and make her yellow hair melt off, but I take a certain consolation in the fact that she's turning into a hairy old woman very quickly, and the stress isn't really helping. My broken iPod Touch is making me profoundly shitty because it's less than a year old, and for once it's not the battery life. When you plug it in, you get the iTunes logo on it and a little symbol that says, you know, plug it in with the iPod plug. But when you try to, it says that it's got an error 6. Now, one of the reasons that I buy Apple products is that I don't like descriptions like that. I don't know what an error 6 is, so off it's gone to Cupertino to get fixed or repaired or set fire to. I don't know. Don't like heralds on Collins Street. Here's why. So, in a moment of duress, I was going for an interview 2 weeks ago, and snarky, feline, sort of dreadful woman decided that I looked like a prime candidate to help. And she sold me $890 worth of clothing. And for those of you that haven't been to Harold's on Collins Street, allow me to tell you that that's a twin set. So a cardigan and a jumper. And I hated the jumper so much that I tried to return it, but since they don't do returns, I just now have a credit note for $425. Yeah, great. Anyway, Harold's on Collins Street. Ungood. Woman that works there, also ungood. You'll know her because she's the one that looks like a syphilitic cat. Melted passport. There's one for you, just had to look on my desk. So this went through the wash twice, which is why it now looks like that. Now that's not a huge problem. The problem is that that's supposed to be one page. Now, if I try to use that, I'll get to the border or I'll get to the airport and they'll say, God knows what they'll say, but I'll end up being a statistic, or at least in the cast of border security, unwittingly. So that's not good. There are, however, things, okay, and this is where we sort of pause for break for a moment, because there are things that I do like. And having time on my side presently has allowed me to find them, which is groovy. Number 1, new Marian Keyes novel. If you're that sort of person, go out and buy it. It's a bit thick this time. I think we're at about 700 pages. It's called This Charming Man. And although it is a bit chick-litty, I don't know, I can't stop fucking reading it. So that's good. What else? Toast. You know the people that when you go out for coffee in the morning, they're in the cafe having toast? People that just seem very comfortable sitting and reading the paper. I've never really thought much about them because I'm not a toast fan, but was actually looking for an excuse to sit in coffee shops longer than I should and have picked up an appreciation for toast, especially with the new, what's it called? Blood orange marmalade, which is very nice, and I recommend highly. So toast, blood orange marmalade, Marion Key's book. Running, I do that every day. I think that it's immensely helpful in stopping you from getting caught up with whatever thoughts are stressing out, because it's a good place to just focus on the pain, the intense pain in your hips. So that's good. And I'll start going back to yoga very soon as well, because it's a centering thing. Anyway, coffee. Blessed to live in a city where good coffee is everywhere and is not made in a drippolator or in a Bodum, but rather the big chrome Italian machines from the 50s. And it contains an awful lot of caffeine, which is, again, very good. Yeah, coffee. I've been doing a lot of reading recently on not just the immigration policies of Australia and Marion Key's characters, but also the history of the English language, because I'm fascinated with its roots, linguistics, psycholinguistics. I think these things are very good. And really finally put a name to, finally learned about and had a proper name for BBC English, which is received pronunciation. It's very interesting to see sort of where it starts and where it ends, and the attitudes toward it, and yeah, anyway. So I've been doing a lot of reading about that, and the only reason I mention it is because there's sort of a practical application exercise sheet that goes with the site that I've been reading, and I can't think of what it's called, but it's in my bookmarks. Let me know if you're curious. They suggest trying these, because of course one of the goals is to sort of keep your upper lip is fairly immobile, and your tongue should be fairly flat when you're trying to get these noises out. And they recommend reading Shakespeare with a cork in your mouth. And even though I live in a wine-producing region, I can't seem to find a bottle of wine with a cork in it. I have a cupboard full of wine, and they all have screw caps, because apparently that's the way of the future. Even the synthetic corks are a bit dumb. But that's fine, because I always thought they were a bit shit. Anyway, the funny thing is, know what works better than a cork? A dried Chinese mushroom. And it even tastes like soup. So there we go. That's where we are for this week, and maybe we'll post something else next week.